Actually, it is more flexible than it was before. So applicants applying from overseas can now apply for 6 months before the course is due to start, whereas previously it was 3 months. The 5-year cap on study, so we used to have a 5-year cap on study. This no longer applies if you're studying a postgraduate course. So this is very positive. If you do an undergraduate course in the UK and then you want to go on to do a postgraduate course, there is no cap on the time limit that you can be in the UK to study at postgraduate level. Students who are extending their visas in the UK, so if you are already studying in the UK, no longer need to show evidence of finance if you've been living in the UK for 12 months or more on the date that you make your visa application. So again, that's very positive. If you come to the UK to study, say, an undergraduate, and then you want to extend your visa to study a master's, you don't need to then demonstrate that you have huge amounts of funds all over again. The finance requirement has increased, but only very slightly. So we're looking at an increase of around, I think it's about £15, not even that, per month. So the total now is £9,207 that you would need to show as maintenance amount from the 1st of December 2020. The points requirement for the student route has changed slightly. So you now need to obtain 50 points, and you can get that through your CAS statement by receiving your CAS statement from the university, which is your confirmation of acceptance for studies, which is received when you have an unconditional offer to study at the university. You then also gain financial points by showing your bank statement or educational loan letter, and English language points. And I will talk a little bit about English language requirements later on in the presentation. And this comes to a total of 70 points required for your immigration application to study. So there's also some changes. This only really affects students who want to look for a short-term study and standard visitor visa. So you don't need to worry about these too much. So from the 1st of December, there'll be a change to visa for short courses. So the short-term study visa will only be for English language courses for 6 to 11 months, but that's only for English language courses. Study on courses up to 6 months. So that's if the entirety of a course you're studying is 6 months or less at an accredited provider, will be permitted on a standard visitor visa route instead. But the majority of our courses at the University of Portsmouth are at least 12 months, so you'll be looking to apply for a student route visa. So the documents that you require for a CAS statement, the CAS statement is sent to you by the admissions team once you have an unconditional offer, like I explained before. You'll need to meet all the conditions of your offer. This is really important. So when you receive your offer to study at the university, please check your conditions carefully. But we have a fantastic admissions team who will happily assist you, and your agent, who is here as well, will happily assist you with any inquiries that you have. Pardon me. When you receive your CAS statement, please check that all the details on the CAS are correct. Excuse me. So make sure that your name is spelled correctly, same as in your passport. Check that your course details are correct. Check your date of birth is correct. The details on the CAS need to match what is on your passport. If your visa application is refused, hopefully it won't be, but if it is, you just need to be aware that the CAS that you received initially, you cannot use this again. It will be cancelled, and you will need to request a new CAS before making a new visa application. CASs are a once-use document, so just to make you aware. Hopefully we'll have no refusals, but just so that you're aware. So like I said, one of the main things that you need, you have your CAS statement for your 50 points, and for your 10 points, you need evidence of finance, and that can come in the form of bank statements. This is the most common way of demonstrating you meet the financial requirements. So if you're paying for your studies yourself, which many students do, you will need to show the following amount of money. You can see it up there on the slides. It will be 1 year's tuition fee, so your entire tuition fees. If you've paid any money towards your course already, then this will be deducted and shown on your CAS. You will need to show the living costs, like I mentioned before, of £9,207. And the bank account, the bank statement, the bank account that you're using must be in your name or a parent's name. You cannot show funds from a relative or a friend. So you cannot use a brother or an uncle, aunt, grandmother, grandfather, you cannot use anyone else apart from your own bank statement or your parents' bank statement. If you are showing a parent's bank statement, then you will also need a letter from them to confirm they're financially supporting you and a copy of your birth certificate as well. All finances must be held in the account for at least minimum period of time, 28 consecutive days. So funds must be held in a personal bank or building society account. This can include deposits and instant access savings. But the funds must be immediately accessible. They cannot be locked funds that mature at a certain date. They must be immediately accessible. Funds from an overseas account will not be considered if any of the following apply. And you can see that on the screen there. So if the UKVI is unable to make satisfactory verification checks of that overseas bank, if the bank is not regulated by an appropriate regulatory body, and if the bank does not use electronic record keeping. So you need to just make sure that your bank meets all those requirements. If you're not sure, however, and you'd like to speak to us, we do offer a visa support service for applicants at the University of Portsmouth, and you can contact us and ask us for any assistance with your visa application as well. If you're showing currency that is not in British pounds, you should use the currency converter tool, the same one that the UKVI use, which is called OANDA, and that's the sort of the official currency conversion. You may be officially sponsored. You may be sponsored by a government or an international organization or an international company. And if you are, then this will be established as part of your application process as well. You'll need to declare that you are officially sponsored. Again, if you're not sure and you need some help, then you can certainly contact us. If you are sponsored, then you will need an official sponsor letter to demonstrate that you meet the requirements. That has to be dated, has to have the name and contact details of the official sponsor, and it has to confirm the length of time that they are sponsoring you for. So a lot of questions that we get are if you can use a loan to fund your studies. And the answer is yes, and also no. So I will explain a little bit about loans when you're applying for your visa. So you can show a letter confirming that you are in receipt of a loan if the loan is provided by a government, it is a government-sponsored student loan or loan company, like student loans company, or as part of an academic or educational loan scheme, which is regulated for the purpose of issuing student loans. So you cannot use loans that are general loans. So say, for example, you went to the bank and you had a bank loan to build a house. You could not use that evidence of a loan for your studies. It has to be specifically for educational reasons. You also cannot use a loan that is in the name of your parents or legal guardian as evidence. There must be no conditions placed on the loan, on the release of the loan, other than the successful application of your student visa. And this is a very common requirement. If you are using money from a personal loan, like I said before, you can't use a letter to say that you're going to be issued the loan as evidence. So this would be a loan that is not an educational loan. What you could do, however, is you could take out a loan and the money would have to be deposited into your bank account and held there for 28 days. And that money you could use to demonstrate that you meet the financial requirements for visa application. There's some details about the requirements for student loan letters. So for example, they can be dated no more than 6 months before the date of the visa application. And it must confirm the loan is a student loan provided by, as I said before, the government-sponsored loan scheme, or that the loan is for educational purposes. Some other details are on there. Again, if you do receive a loan letter and you want to, and you're not sure and you have more questions, like I said, we have a dedicated visa service at the University of Portsmouth, and we can check it and provide you with further advice. To meet the additional 10 points that you need, so far you've received your CAS statement for the 50 points and you've met your financial requirements for 10 points. For this final 10 points, you need to demonstrate your English language ability. So at the University of Portsmouth, we accept the following as proof of English language. So we do accept MOIs currently for January 2021 intake. We are currently having to review this for future intakes due to UKVI regulations. When we have more information from the UKVI, we will let you know. However, we do not know if we'll be able to accept MOIs after January. So we do advise you to look at taking a Duolingo test, for example, to demonstrate your English language ability. You can take any secure English language test, IELTS, and like I said, Duolingo. There is a full list of the qualifications that we can accept on our website, and we continue to update that regularly. So if you're not sure again, please let us know. And also the admissions team will be assessing your English language at your application stage for applying for your course at the university. If you do not meet the English language requirement, you can also apply for one of our pre-sessional English courses. And these range from anything from 4 weeks. So if you're just missing a little band on the English language, up to 20 weeks if you're missing a couple of bands on the English language. Information about our English language courses can be found on our website, and I'm sure your agent will be able to direct you to them as well. Other required documents for visa application would be a valid passport, certificates and transcripts that were used to obtain your offer for your course of study, obviously evidence of your English language, an ATAS certificate, of course only if this is applicable to the course you are studying, and a valid TB test certificate as well. It's very important to note that the UKVI do check all application documents carefully, and if they find that any of the documents are not genuine, then your application will automatically be refused. Submitting false documents is seen as deception and can attract a ban for future visa applications for the UK and other countries. So please, obviously we know that it's very, very uncommon that students would submit anything that's fraudulent, but if you're not sure, please check your documents to check that they are genuine. So you may, or you will have to take an interview as part of the visa application process. And these are called credibility interviews, and all students applying from outside the UK will need to have an interview. So some of the questions that they may ask you is if you've had any previous visas for the UK. They may ask you about previous visa refusals that you've had. And very importantly, they will ask you about the university that you're going to. So they will ask you if you're coming to the University of Portsmouth, why you chose the University of Portsmouth, and why you chose the course that you're studying. They will expect you to have good knowledge of the course that you're studying. So they will expect you to know what modules you'll be studying, what sort of subjects you'll be studying, and they will also expect you to know about Portsmouth and the UK. They may ask you what other universities you considered before applying for Portsmouth. If you did apply for any other universities, and they will also expect you to know a little bit about where Portsmouth is. So obviously, Portsmouth is located in the south coast of the UK, just south of London, about 90 minutes by train. And they may well ask you where Portsmouth is located. They will also ask you things about your career plans for the future, what you plan to do after your studies, and perhaps also how you're funding your studies. The most important thing is to be completely honest. So for example, if you have had a previous visa refusal, you must mention this. You must say this when asked about it. It's okay if you've had a previous visa refusal. The Home Office are looking to see that you are being honest, and that is more important. So always, always, always be honest in your interview. Like I said, make sure that you know your course details well as the modules, and make sure you know and you can talk about why it is that you chose the University of Portsmouth. If your internet connection is poor, which we know across the globe there can be different issues with internet connectivity, and you can't hear the interviewer very well, it's really important to let them know immediately that you're having issues. Do not say what you think the interviewer wants to hear. Be honest and be genuine. So if an interviewer asks you why you chose the University of Portsmouth, explain the reason why you personally chose to study at that university, at this university. So sometimes students do get refusals. At the University of Portsmouth, we actually have a very low refusal rate that we're very proud of, because of the support that we provide for students and the preparation that we help with, getting you to unconditional offer stage and issuing your CAS statement. However, there are sometimes refusals, and the most common reason for refusals is actually finance. And the most common reason is not having the money that you need in your bank account for at least 28 days. So when the Home Office are looking at your finances, they absolutely must be in there for a minimum of 28 days. If it's 27 days, it's automatic refusal. So always check your calendar carefully when you're looking at your bank statements. All right. If you have any questions or concerns, you can send your bank statements to us in the visa team before you submit your visa application, and we can check them for you. All right. So rest assured, we can always do bank statement checking if you would like us to look at them. Other reasons for refusal include not submitting all the documents and translations if your original documents are not in English, and not submitting a TB test certificate. So you must ensure that you do submit a TB test certificate. You must also include that you do not omit any information in your application. So for example, any previous visa refusals, criminal convictions, or civil penalties, which include things like getting in trouble for a driving offence. Credibility interviews, as we've discussed before, and submitting documents that are not genuine. As I said before, please ensure the documents you submit are genuine documents. So if you have had a previous visa refusal, just so that to make you aware, you cannot make a priority visa application. So you may want to plan that in when you're looking at applying for your visa and the timeframes that you're applying in. It's important to remember that at the University of Portsmouth, we have orientation week, which is the week before your induction week. And it's really important to attend this week. So when you're applying to the university, we will let you know the dates, and you need to plan your visa application accordingly around the dates that we're expecting you to be here in the UK. Like we said, always be honest about your refusals and remember to know any reference numbers that you have to previous applications. And most importantly, don't panic. There's no need to worry about it. It's a standard procedure that everybody has to go through. Answer all the questions that you're asked fully, and try not to speak too quickly, and don't just give one-word answers. So if they ask you a question, don't just say yes or no. Please try to elaborate on that question a little bit as well. So some of you may be wanting to bring your dependents to the UK with you, which again is very common, and it's always nice if you can to bring your family with you, your loved ones, your children, to bring them with you whilst you're studying in the UK. So to be eligible to bring dependents, you must be studying a postgraduate course that is 9 months or longer. So the postgraduate courses at the University of Portsmouth are all 12 months. Unfortunately, students on part-time courses are not permitted to bring dependents. However, if you are officially sponsored, then you can bring a dependent. If you're bringing children, you must be aware that both parents must be in the UK, and each dependent is required to show additional maintenance as well, which is £6,120 per dependent. If you are bringing your children, then they are permitted to study in the UK at UK state schools. And any dependents that you bring will also be permitted to work full or part-time. They can also study as well if they wish to. And birth in the UK does not automatically make a baby a British citizen. You may want to take a work placement as part of your course. And at the University of Portsmouth, this is possible with most of our undergraduate courses. We strongly recommend that you do take a work placement because it gives you invaluable work experience in the UK. So to take a work placement year, it must be an integral part of your course, which, like I said, is built into most of our courses. If you are issued a visa that does not cover a sandwich year, but then you decide that you do want to do a sandwich year or a work placement year, as we also call it, you can apply to extend your visa in the UK to cover this. We suggest that you do stay in contact with us throughout the process so that we can give you the most up-to-date information, as it does change regularly as the UKVI regulations change. Many of our students work during their studies, which is perfectly fine, and it's encouraged because it's good experience for you. However, you must be aware that when you're studying a full-time course, you're permitted to work up to 20 hours only per week during the term time. It's 10 hours per week for qualifications that are below degree level, but the majority of our qualifications are obviously above degree level, so you'd be permitted to work 20 hours per week. You can work full-time during vacation periods and before your course starts and just after it finishes as well. If you are studying a part-time course, then no work is allowed at all. So one of the things we're really excited about is the graduate immigration route, or post-study work, as it's also known. The official title is Graduate Immigration Route, though, or GIR. And this is coming in the summer of 2021. So this visa will be a 2-year visa for undergraduate and master's students, and a 3-year visa for students who have done a PhD. The study must be undertaken in the UK. There is currently a concession for people who have been distance learning outside the UK due to coronavirus. However, in order to be eligible for the graduate immigration route for this year, so say, for example, your course is going to finish this summer, you'd need to be in the UK by the 6th of April 2021. If you're here today and you're obviously looking to apply for a course in January or September next year, you don't need to worry about the requirement to be in the UK by the 6th of April. The requirement for graduate immigration route is that you must have successfully completed the course for which your CAS was assigned to you, which means that unfortunately you cannot transfer course once you get to the UK. So it's very important that when you're making your application, you ensure that you've done enough research that that is definitely the course that you want to study. If you come to the UK with one offer for a course and a CAS, and you change courses once you get here, you will not be eligible to apply for the graduate immigration route. Applications can be made in the UK, and you will not be required to show any financial evidence. Unfortunately, we don't have the full details yet of when the route will officially open, but we should be getting more details in the coming months. There is a link on there which you can sign up for news alerts from, but the university will also be keeping all students updated when we have more information from the government about the graduate immigration route. So looking at timescales, so you can apply for your visa, like we said before, from 6 months before you're due to start your course, as long as you obviously have been issued with your CAS statement and you have all your supporting documents. A standard visa application takes approximately 15 working days, but it can take a little bit longer during peak times. And peak times would include August and September. So like I was saying before, plan your visa application well in advance so that you have lots of time to make your visa application, for your visa application to be granted, and then you can travel to the UK and you can attend the orientation program and the induction program onto your course. We do say, however, to not pre-book any flights until your visa has been issued to you, in case you experience delays and then you've spent a lot of money on a flight that you then need to change. At the University of Portsmouth, we provide an airport pickup service, so you can book on to our airport pickup and we can collect you from the airport and bring you straight to Portsmouth. The airport pickup service is on specific days only, but we do publish them well in advance. So as part of the application process, you will receive correspondence about when the airport pickups are happening, and you can plan your travel accordingly. Like I said, if you would like to apply for the graduate immigration route, you'd need to arrive in the UK before the 6th of April for this academic year. But that's only if your course is going to finish in this academic year. If you're starting in January or September, you don't need to worry about this. As I said before, as I've said throughout the presentation, we have a dedicated team, including myself, who support with visa advice throughout your student journey. And our email address is there on the screen. So if you have any questions about applying for your visa to study at the University of Portsmouth, you can email us at student-visa@port.ac.uk. You can also telephone us, and our telephone number is on the screen now. However, we do find it easier if you send us an email because then everything is written down for you and you can refer to it later on if you forget what we said, or sometimes particularly with visas and immigration, things can be quite complicated. So it's always best to have it written down. And like I said before as well, if you wanted to discuss a bank statement or a loan letter, you would need to email it to us so that we could have a look at it. We wouldn't be able to discuss that over the telephone. But please, throughout the journey, please do get in touch with us if you need any support whatsoever. We've included some useful resources on here, and we'll be sharing the slides with you afterwards. So you can click on these links and have a read through. Includes information about the student route, applying as a dependent as well. And then we've also included some links on here to our airport pickup service, working during your studies, and you'll be able to find out a bit more about our orientation program as well. So thank you so much for having me today. I believe now it's time for a Q&A. I'm going to put up the last slide. Just quickly, we have a beautiful picture there of what we call the Spinnaker Tower, which is our Millennium Tower that is built in Portsmouth. And you can see it there just on the seafront. It's absolutely beautiful. You can also climb the tower if you wish, and you can abseil down it, which some of our students do actually do. I haven't done it personally, but if you are a thrill seeker, you can abseil down this tower in the picture. So obviously the Manya Group are here to support you, and their contact details are on the page. But now we have plenty of time for questions. So if anybody has any questions, or Amnol, I don't know if you want to add anything to that as well.
Hi, thank you, Anna. So good evening, students. You can now text in your specific queries, and Ms. Anna would be happy to assist you for all your queries. Thank you.
Okay, so I have a question from Angad. I've taken a Cambridge A-level course right now. Do I need to undertake IELTS to show my proficiency in English? What we would need to do is we would need to have a look at the Cambridge A-level results as part of your application. And we'd need to look at that and see if if it met the requirements, and if you would therefore not need to take IELTS, or if you would need to take IELTS. Jaspreet or CJ, I don't know if you want to add anything to that as well.
That is correct, Anna. We'll have to actually have a look at the scores and then see if they qualify.
Thank you, Angad, for your question. That's a good question. So we have a question here. I am planning for September 21 intake. When should I apply for a visa? That's a very good question. So that shows that you're planning already. For September 2021, you can apply. You're eligible to apply for a visa up to 6 months before the start of the course. So you would technically be eligible to apply in March. However, it will depend on when you receive an unconditional offer, and therefore when you receive your CAS statement. So if you've already submitted an application, that's fantastic. Check the conditions of your offer to study. If you're not sure about any of the conditions, how to fulfill them, or you need some help, you can contact Manya, or you can contact the India office team as well for help with that. Like I said, once you've met all the conditions of your offer, your CAS statement can be issued from March onwards. So I would suggest, if you can get it from March, if you can meet everything and get your CAS statement in March, you can go ahead and apply for your visa. That's absolutely fine. Usually we'd say don't apply any later than August because you need that bit of time to plan in. So don't, obviously you can apply as soon as you get your CAS statement if there's any issues. But we're looking, if you can apply from March and you have the CAS and you have your documents ready, you can go ahead and make your visa application. So we have another question here. I want to apply for educational leadership and management. Do we offer MSc, PG DIP and PG Cert? I want to know the scope for each and how they are different from each other. CJ or Jaspreet, would you be able to take that one?
Yes. So when you compare a diploma and a certificate takes a shorter time to complete. And a diploma would be more in-depth and it would take longer time to complete. So typically certificate would be anywhere between 3 to 6 months, and diploma would take anywhere between 6 months to 1 year to complete. So when you compare diploma and certificate, diploma is more in-depth, more technical, and therefore has a higher value than a certificate. So my suggestion would be that you should go for a diploma. There's better scope, much better scope than a certificate.
Absolutely.
I hope that answers your question, Nivedita. All right.
And obviously the full MSc is also available. And if you did the MSc, for example, you could then go on to do a PhD if you wanted to, if you are so dedicated to your study.
Absolutely. So it's like certificate, diploma, and then degree.
Yeah.
So the first obvious choice should be a degree. If you can, you should do a degree.
Absolutely. Strongly recommend the degree. And it's 12 months. So you are eligible for all the additional things that come with studying a course that's 12 months or longer. So
Absolutely.
we definitely, yeah.
And it's a great course, Nivedita, Educational Leadership and Management.
Do we have any other questions? Any questions about the University of Portsmouth or studying here in the UK as well? Happy to take questions on that too. It's a difficult time at the moment, I think, because everybody is wondering what's going to happen with coronavirus. We're really excited in the UK, or cautiously optimistic, as everybody is saying, about the vaccine coming very soon. We are, in our minds, we are sort of preparing for on-campus study coming in September. So we are, cautiously optimistic about it. So if you are thinking of applying, I think, with the news of the vaccine and things moving forward, now would be a very, very good time to do that. So we have a question here. I wanted to know about PhD in English literature, but with a funded scholarship. So usually with PhDs in subjects that are not STEM, so STEM is sort of science, technology and maths. For an English literature degree, there's not a lot, I have to be honest, there's not a lot of scholarships that are funded. However, there may be funding available from external funding bodies. CJ and Jaspreet, I don't know if you're aware of any PhD funding options for a subject like English literature, sorry.
Yeah, no, you are actually bang on there. There are a lot of scholarships available, even to government, non-government funding for the STEM subjects, but unfortunately for English, the scope is not there that much. But I would still suggest that you go through some other government scholarships from India, and you might find something there. There's another question about marine field, and so there's I think somebody was asking. Okay, Raghav is asking about a marine field, and he wants to know if we have any courses. Raghav, I'm just posting the link for a very good course on coastal and marine resource management. Just have a look at that. That's a master's program. It's a 1-year program, and I think this is quite apt for you. Have a look at that course. It's there on the chat now.
Absolutely, and I think. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Anna, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say we have our own Institute of Marine Biology at the University of Portsmouth as well. It's absolutely fantastic. We've been to visit it as members of staff. So we have the main campus for the university, but obviously we are right by the sea. And just down from the main campus, right on the coast, we have our Institute for Marine Biology, and it is absolutely fantastic. It's so fascinating. There's so much to do there, and it's a whole site just dedicated to the marine biology courses, and that's where our students go when they're studying that. And it's wonderful. You can see all sorts of things, all sorts of marine biology things. My favorite thing actually is seeing the seals. So we have seals that come into the Portsmouth harbour, and you can go down there and you can see them there at certain times of the day. It's absolutely beautiful. We have boats.
Wow.
You can go out on the boats. It's brilliant.
That sounds beautiful, Anna. The way
It's lovely. I would just study marine biology just to be able to do that, but may I know the living costs in Portsmouth for part-time work? Are there opportunities within the university? That's a really good question. The living costs in Portsmouth are actually quite cheap. Even though we are a city very close to London, we are actually one of the most affordable cities to study in the UK. So we say living costs, it depends on your lifestyle. The Home Office obviously requires you to have a minimum requirement, which is, like I said before, £9,200 for the year. But you can get, once you're here in Portsmouth, you can get different ranges of accommodation from, very, very cheap to much more expensive. But the cost of living is very cheap. Portsmouth is a campus city, so you do not need to pay for public transport or for cars or anything like that. You can get everywhere in Portsmouth on foot or by bicycle. So transport costs are very low. And of course, there is lots of opportunities for part-time work, both in the university and in the local area. But we have lots of jobs in the university for students. We have International Student Ambassador Scheme. We have faculty representatives who are students, marketing assistants. We have welcome ambassadors, all sorts of different paid part-time work opportunities in the university.
Okay, there's a question about, I think Sparsha is saying that he's planning to do an MS in data science, and will recession affect the placements in the UK?
Yeah, sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, CJ, please.
Okay, so I just want to give my opinion here, Sparsha, and Anna will add to that. Of all the countries around the world, UK is one country which is actually, where technology is fantastic, and the jobs within the technical industry are actually increasing. According to one report that I was studying, and this was only 2-3 days back actually, there's 80% of the UK companies are planning to hire data scientists. So, with this current COVID situation and everything, the need for data scientists is only going to increase. So recession or no recession, data science is one field which is going to increase. The demand for this course is going to increase in the coming time.
Yes, I was going to say the same, that I think in terms of placements in the UK, that is not, the recession that's happening is almost temporary to a certain respect, and is affecting I would say a more minority side of jobs. And like CJ has just said, data science is actually, and technology are one of the ones that we're actually seeing a boom in job opportunities for, instead of a decrease. So I would certainly say that we're not looking at sort of a negative effect at all from the recession. If anything, it's a positive thing in a way, because it's demonstrated that there's more demand for these sort of things.
So Anna, I know there are some other questions, but there is one question that I would like to ask you, and I want you to actually answer that, because you are there in UK right now. What is the on-ground situation? The challenge is that here there is a lot of hype in the media about the lockdown and how scary it is, and the overall mood and sentiment. But what actually is the ground reality? This is one question we keep getting from the students all the time. So if you can answer that.
Absolutely. And it's a really good question, because I think the media has likes to make a big drama out of things, and the media is very powerful. But actually being here in the UK, we are in lockdown. They're calling it lockdown at the moment, but it is not like the previous lockdown that we had. We are meant to be at home, working from home if we can, but we can go out for exercise every day, and we can go out for unlimited exercise as well, which is lovely, particularly living in a city like Portsmouth, where there is so much beautiful scenery. It's very easy to just go outside and feel better, because you're outside, you're getting exercise, and you have a beautiful view. So in Portsmouth in particular, we're very lucky, I think, in that respect. Food shops are still open, essential shops are still open, public transport is still running. I think generally people are feeling very positive about the vaccine, the news of the vaccine. Although we don't have it yet, it is, hopefully very good news. But I think in general, to be honest with you, people in the UK, we have a mood that we are in this together. It's a sort of a national thing that we have to work towards. People have been very supportive. There's actually been a huge increase in the amount of sort of charity work that people are doing. And I've seen a lot of, just in my neighborhood and at the university, an awful lot of kindness actually between strangers. Not saying that we didn't have that before, but people are really dedicated to helping others, getting through this pandemic and coming together as a nation to get through it. And I think we will. And I think the media is really likes to make a big story out of things. But we have good internet in the UK. We can speak to our friends very easily. I see my colleagues from work every now and then. And yeah, it's not ideal, obviously, for anybody. But the mood is good, I think. And people are generally helpful and compliant. And it's not total lockdown. So we are, there are a lot more freedoms as well. So.
That's awesome, actually. That's really good to hear, because, students have this thing in their mind that it might be really scary out there. But from what you were telling me and from what other colleagues have said, that, life is just normal there.
Yeah, life is continuing. Life is definitely continuing. It's a new normal, but it's not a bad thing. And particularly, I can absolutely empathize that it's really scary. Particularly, I mean, going to study in a new country is scary anyway, let alone there being a pandemic or whatever is happening. But I think one of the things to think about is that the university, particularly at the University of Portsmouth, we have taken so much time and money and effort into making sure that our students are well supported throughout whatever is happening. So teaching can be done online and learning can be done online. All our support services can be accessed online. All of our student socials, that's all online if students can't meet up in person. We have all support for students if they need to self-isolate. We're doing food packages. We're doing like daily sort of check-ins with students. Our wellbeing services available, 24 hours a day. The university library is still open, so you can still study. Classes are still going ahead. So yeah, it's life somewhat as normal for sure.
Okay, that's great. Ria, this is for you. I know you said that you're searching for scholarships for PPE. There are very limited scholarships for PPE, but I'm going to put my email ID here, and if you can get in touch, we do have a list of scholarships, all government scholarships, so probably we can share that with you. I'm just putting my email ID on the chat box. So if you can write to me, I can probably share that information with you. Vinisha, we do not have, unfortunately, any undergraduate program in aerospace.
Raghav is asking about renewable energy. We do have renewable energy, I believe.
Yes, we do. We have electrical and renewable energy engineering, and I'm just posting the link here on the chat box here, and you can have a look at that link. This is really a good course, electrical and renewable engineering. Yeah, I think, Raghav, that is for you. Okay, so Raghav's next question is for a vegetarian to survive. Okay.
That's a really good question, actually, and that's a really good point as well. It's as part of reducing your carbon footprint. Becoming a vegetarian makes one of the biggest differences. So that's a really good point. And the answer is it is extremely easy to be a vegetarian here, particularly in Portsmouth. There's a big culture, actually, particularly between Portsmouth and a town called Brighton, which is about less than an hour away from us. Brighton is the sort of pinnacle of sort of veganism in the UK, and that has very much come to Portsmouth as well. All of our catering, all of the cafes and things on campus all have vegan options, and that's from food, it's to drink. So if you want a tea or a coffee, alternative milks are available. All of the food, there's always at least 1 or 2 vegan options as well as vegetarian. I myself, unfortunately, I do eat meat. I try to reduce it, but my mum is a vegetarian and I have a lot of friends who are vegans. And actually, there are more, I would say, all the restaurants and cafes, the new ones that are opening, are much more vegan focused than anything else. And supermarkets, you don't have to think twice. It is very, very easy to be vegetarian, if not vegan, if you wanted to be as well. So no need to worry about that.
So Raghav, I'm a vegetarian too. So not a vegan, but a vegetarian. And I have never had a problem in terms of food in Portsmouth. There are plenty of options to choose from.
I think we actually also have a vegan society, a vegan vegetarian society where students can meet and share ideas and recipes and things like that. So
yeah. Do we get PSW with certificate programs and PG diploma as well? Unfortunately, correct me, Anna, if I'm wrong, but you do not get PSW with certificate programs and PG diploma.
No, you don't.
Full-time degree course. A full degree course, either for undergraduate or postgraduate.
That's correct. It needs to be the full degree program to be able to eligible to apply for post-study work. So yes, that's correct.
Yeah, I think we've covered almost all the questions here. Are there any other questions? All right, I don't see any more questions, I think we have addressed all.
No, that looks good to me. I don't know if anyone else has anything to add.
Well, thank you all for attending, and I think Anna, this was really, really wonderful. I'm sure it was very helpful for the students also. But if there's anything that you need help in, you can always get in touch with Manya. Their email ID, telephone numbers are here on the screen. Please feel free to get in touch.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was lovely to be here today and lovely to meet with you all. And I hope you found it useful.